Hey everybody, welcome back to the second part of Module 3, Selection Methods and Masking. So we've wrapped up Part 1 of the module, and this week we'll be hopping into Part 2. And this week it's going to be a lot of the same, to be completely honest. So we are going to start 3 projects this week. It's called Art Space, the Salk Institute, and the Villa Savoye. And these 3 projects that we're starting will actually be working on, along with other projects, over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So it's really important that you get your work done this week so that you can be prepared for everything that's coming in the weeks ahead. So the first assignment that we're going to hop into is we are using a backdrop of an image that was used as part of a marketing brochure for one of the offices that I worked in. It's called this Art Space JPEG image. And what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to isolate the sky, because as you can see, it was taken on kind of an overcast day. We may have a little bit too much contrast in the image, and we're going to help the photographer out by masking out the sky and inserting a new sky. And so when we do this, the first time we are going to go over a review and go over the techniques that we used last week. And then I've actually given you guys the files to use for the sky. So before you start following along with my YouTube lecture, make sure you download the ArtSpace JPEG and these 2 JPEGs right here. And then as usual, please go ahead and go through the rubric requirements to make sure you have everything met and when it's due so that you can get all of your points. After you do this first one, you're going to do something really similar, and this time you're going to be using a saved JPEG that will continue off of the previous exercise. And then this time you're going to follow along with the tutorial, and we're going to learn an advanced method on how to select and mask an item. And in addition to that, you guys will be selecting your own sky to place into the scene. In the video tutorial, I do go over how to download a high quality image to avoid pixelation. And then I also review how to transform the sky to fit into its scenery. And then on your own, I want you guys to include people into the scene. So this can range from a group of people or just a couple walking, but basically everything from here down you do on your own. And this is the exercise. Then again, I have a rubric here that goes over everything that I expect that I'll be grading for the assignment, as well as when it's due. Now moving on from there, the other 2 assignments are really similar to that. So I give you an image, in this case it's called the Villa Savoye, and in this one you are going to isolate the building structure. Let me show you what that looks like. And then you'll be putting it in a new background. Oops, I already had that one, but we'll download it again so I can quickly show you. So here's this, and I even put, make sure that you just get the columns and the structure, but you don't need any of the ground or sky, just the structure. I also put a little note that there is an area where some of the foliage comes over the front of the building. That's okay to leave for now. We're going to fix it later on in the semester. And then what you're going to do with this one is you are going to find a new background that's a Utah scene, a high quality image, and you'll essentially be transporting my favorite building from France to Utah for me to enjoy. Now, one note that I put here, usually just putting the Villa Savoye as a large structure in the center of a scene, it rarely looks professional or aesthetically pleasing. Some of the best work I've seen kind of hides it in a mountain scene, it tucks it over to the side. So take some time with that. Remember, bigger is not necessarily better. In addition to that, you'll also be masking a few more objects and transforming them. Please bring in an additional object that represents Utah. Your object again should be masked cleanly, it should be transformed or scaled to fit the scene, so it should look believable just in the sense of scale. And then again, your future assignments will build off of this work, so we're going to keep adding to this. So please go ahead and get your work done this week to make it easier for the coming weeks. Now in this next file, we are doing the Salk Institute. So I'm essentially introducing you guys to all of my favorite buildings, some that I have the pleasure of seeing in person. The Salk Institute is actually in La Jolla, which is in San Diego. And I typically go 2 times a year. I was actually scheduled to go in March and May, but there are things going on in the world preventing me from going. So we'll see if I make it this year. I typically make it once or twice a year. So in this one, it's going to be similar to what we did in Art Space. We're going to remove this sky. And again, you're going to find your own sky to pull into the scene. Now this should be kind of fun. And remember, I know that fun is subjective, but you need to also include this paraglider. So if you ever go to the Salk Institute, there is actually like a ledge where people often paraglide off of, and I would like to see a paraglider in the scene. Now this is going to take patience because look at all of these strings right here. I don't need every string, but I need a lot of strings so that it still looks believable. So within that scene that I just showed you, I need this guy paragliding into the scene. Just him. You get to pick the sky. And in addition to picking the sky, I also want you to pull in 2 additional objects into the scene. They should be masked cleanly, they should be transformed or scaled to fit the scene, and you can do up to 2 extra objects for extra credit worth 2 points each. And then also with this one, I'll make sure to add a note, although it doesn't say it here. No cartoon objects, please. It's really hard to do some of the like light and color things that I want to do in the future if you have cartoon objects. Now this particular assignment, the Salk Institute, we are going to be putting up for discussion this week, so you can share with everybody what you did with the Salk Institute, and then next week we will be sharing the Villa Savoye. So just know that eventually we will be sharing all of these, but this week we're going to start out with the Salk Institute. We'll also have some questions just like we have every week, and again with the questions there is no time limit, and I always try to throw in a couple extra credit points. You guys killed the extra credit last week. I think everybody got more than full credit, so I'm really happy with everybody's participation, the quality of work that you're doing, and it really reassures me to see this online format going so well. So as usual, if you guys have any questions, you guys know where to find me. I'll be available on Tuesday and Thursday again this week, so send me a note. But I hope you guys make it a great week and keep enjoying Photoshop. Thanks!